What is up, my aesthetic boys? It's Fresh, back with another video. If you're looking for retail stories about the new guy, that young man, the truth of Jesus Christ in relation to charity shops in the EU, and a whole host of other things, you've come to the right place. I once had to give a customer some really bad news. Then the FBI showed up. So, yeah. Years back, I was working as wholesale manager for a large national auto parts chain. Large retail store with a full-service repair facility. When the service manager needed to leave, the technicians would come to me instead. This was one of those days that ended like no other. I remember it was a hot day, well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, a little after 2 p.m. I'm sitting at my desk looking for some parts when one of the technicians comes up to me. His name is Kenny. Now, Kenny is a really nice guy. He's in his early 50s, Vietnamese, and has a great sense of humor. His English isn't great. He understands everything, but never quite got the hang of putting it to words, but he does fine given a minute. The man always has a smile on his face, and he's an outstanding mechanic. I'd let him work on my car, and that's a real short list. Anyway, Mr. Silicon, you need to come right now. He's stone-faced, and he always calls me by my first name. I'm more than a little scared by how he looks. I'm thinking a vehicle has fallen off a lift or someone is seriously injured. He leads the way to the service bay. He works in the bay all the way at the end, and that's where he takes me. On his lift, he has a 2000 or so white Ford Expedition. He guides me to the front passenger wheel well. The wheel and tire have been removed and are on the floor. Then, he points up to the fender. I stick my head up into the wheel well and look up towards the fender, and there it is. A large plastic and taped wrapped package, clearly containing a white brick. It's very large, like 8 inches by 10 inches by 3 inches. It's heavily taped to the inside of the fender. I look at Kenny, and he looks at me. "Cocaine," Kenny says. "Sure as hell looks like it to me too." "What is it here for?" "The truck, that is." "It's a lot of work," Kenny replies. "Practically all the front bushings, ball joints, and outer tie rods. Vehicle is listed at around 78,000 miles. Do you know who this belongs to?" "No," says Kenny. "Alright, just head back to the office. Don't touch it." I head to the service desk and pull the repair order. It's got a local phone number and address on it. I ask the service advisor who the customer is, and he points me to the waiting room next door. I peek inside. Inside is an early 30s guy and his 2 kids, maybe 7 and 5. Looks nice enough, but you never know. At this point, I called the local police. I told them what we found, gave them the vehicle information and customer's name. They said stall him for as long as I can. They'll be here as fast as possible. I head inside the waiting room, introduce myself to the man, and tell him it looks like he might need a few more parts. I say the sway bar bushings and links could also use replacing. He looks at me for a second, then smiles. "Yeah, it's okay. If it needs it, just get it done. I've got time." His kids are really nice too. They both introduce themselves to me. Very polite kids. "So, how long have you had it?" "Only a few weeks," the guy says. "I just purchased it from an auction down south." "Oh, really? What kind of auction?" "Government seizures," the guy says. "DEA, I think." I got an amazing deal. The thing is beat, but I can afford to replace the parts for the price, and the body and inside is great. Man, I've got some really bad news for you. And so I start to explain the situation. Right about this time, the local police arrive. They also have the local FBI with them. They examine the vehicle and have Kenny put the wheel back on. The vehicle goes onto a flatbed and away it goes. 2 of the FBI came with me to the waiting room where this poor guy is now freaking out. Turns out it was indeed a DEA seized vehicle, and they had missed the huge bag of cocaine in it. They had to seize the vehicle from him. They couldn't just take the drugs and give it back like gonzo, and no repayment. Unknown if he would ever get it back. Poor guy was devastated. Last I saw him, the FBI was giving him and his kids a ride home in their SUV. This is insane, I know, but it's not even the whole story. Yes, I feel horrible for the dad and his kids. They're likely out whatever few $1,000s they spent on the car throughout the time, but this is not a one-off occurrence. You know me, I had to look further into this, so I looked up DEA auctions, and they directed me to GSA auctions, who seem to deal in government surplus and the like. Here, I found this white 2006 Jeep Liberty, not even that different from the SUV in the story. It seems to have a current bid of a reasonable $2,550, but if you continue down the description, a line caught my eye. It says, and I quote, We have recently learned that some Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and Department of Justice owned vehicles may have a confidential hold on them. We are working with these agencies to ensure any confidential holds are removed prior to sales. They are working to ensure any confidential holds are removed on an item that's already at auction. Just to confirm what I figured this meant, a poster over on Steel Soldier's military vehicle super site seems to confirm that yes, it's possible that you purchase something at auction and then the Department of Homeland Security or Department of Justice says, you can't take the item. Super sick. We closed 11 minutes ago and you're still trying to come in? The store I work at closes at 6 p.m. on Sundays. Around 5:50, I turn off the music, count one register down, and close it, and I close the gates in front of our big window. If it's 6 p.m. and there's customers inside, I'll lock the door so new customers won't come in. Then I let an associate open the door for the remaining customers inside when they want to leave. It takes about 15 minutes to close both registers, which is why I close one a bit earlier, and I'll have the other one open to take purchases. After both registers are closed, I have to fill out paperwork, a deposit, and do the sales for the day. If anything, we get out at 6:20 p.m. if no one else is in the store. If I have a few customers left, it'll be around 6:30. So, today, the last customer left around 6 p.m.-ish. I started to count down the register that hadn't been closed, and guess who comes to our thankfully locked door? A group of customers. There was about 6 people in that group, and they kept tanking at the door. I told them we were closed, and they just looked annoyed and walked away. Then 2 more customers tried coming in, and I told them the same thing. I hate customers who come in last minute or like 5 minutes before closing to shop for 30 minutes and mess up our recovery. I'm so glad I'm finally a manager so I can decide when I lock the door and stuff. Man, you know what? A couple days ago, I was about to leave for the grocery store right down the road, and I decided not to because it's 20 minutes before it closes. I feel uncomfortable going into a store 15 minutes before it closes, much less go in 5 minutes before it closes, much less go in just before it closes and spend 20 minutes browsing, much less show up after the store closes and then try and get in. What do you expect to accomplish by knocking on a locked door after the listed hours? What do you seriously expect? If the door's closed, if the door's locked, if the little sign on the side of the door says, hey, we closed 7 minutes ago, what do you expect to happen? What the heck? But that's not how the other guy did it. Apparently, I've developed a reputation around here as the guy you hand a customer off to when you're sick of them. I'm comfortable with awkward situations, mostly because I get bruised and scraped around here so often, the idea of being punched doesn't faze me. Plus, I really don't care what people think of me. That's less about healthy self-esteem than it is about a basic contempt for all mankind. Well, at least OP's being honest. So, yesterday, the manager comes out back where I'm receiving in stock. Hey, can you hook up this guy's trailer for me? I say, yeah, sure. And just so you know, the manager adds, he was being super nice until I got to the part about getting an emergency phone number for someone who wouldn't be with him. All of a sudden, he flipped, going, why didn't they ask me for this last week? And this is an invasion of privacy. The usual blah, blah, blah. Oh, great. Yeah, thanks for that. I'm sure this will be lovely. I walk out back to find a white-bearded gentleman in khaki shorts and a safari hat halfway through hooking up the trailer. He was doing it wrong, but with great, angry enthusiasm. Since he's clearly hot under the collar, I decide to get real cold. Hi, those chains are on the wrong side. Let me handle it for you. I start hooking him up, and as expected, he launches into a tirade. Why is it that last week they just used my office number for the emergency contact, but today the lady says it has to be for someone who isn't with me? I don't even look up. Well, she's right. It does. But why did the young man let me... I cut him off. First of all, never ask why. People who ask why aren't looking for a solution or even to actually understand, so let's just not do that. It's pointless. And second, sounds like you got one of the new guys. This is all said while I continue with my hookup. I don't look up, so I couldn't tell you how he reacted. He's quiet until I stand up. Are we done? Can I go? Actually, no. I need a picture of the hookup to show I did it right, and then we need to check your lights. But the young man last week didn't do that. Well, guess I was right then. New guy, I say, tapping at my phone. We stand there in silence for a bit while I wait for the network to catch up with us. It's obviously killing him to wait, which makes me smile a bit. Finally, I'm ready to tap on his name in the list and take the picture. What name is it under, sir? Oh, whatever it was. It says that name on the contract. Oh, we're raising our voices now, are we? I think to myself. I freeze, look at him with raised eyebrows, and quietly say, "Do I look like I'm carrying a copy of your contract?" I wait, unmoving. The tension mounts until he retreats into his truck. He's on the road about 60 seconds later, and I head in to let my manager know what happened so she can deal with the eventual customer complaint that I'll be ignoring. I think it's the heat. The tension mounts. What a line. The tension mounts. Whenever tension mounts steadily in such a calm and controlled manner, well, you know it's going to be good. Now, that sounds stupid. Whatever. Blame it on the new guy, huh? You know, new drinking game. Take a shot every time they say the new guy or that young man. Don't drink, kids. And if you're an adult, still probably don't play that drinking game because you'd have to take like 3 shots in a minute, and that's probably not absolutely insane. But hey, maybe still don't anyway. Might as well, you know. Anyway, you know what's even worse than watching a Reddit video on YouTube? Getting drunk while watching a Reddit video on YouTube. I really hate hagglers. So I work in a charity shop. We occasionally get a few problem customers, rude people, shoplifters, and hagglers. A woman brought some perfume to the counter. It was a good brand, still in its box, priced at €15. She wanted it for €10. My manager happened to be present and told her no, she wouldn't get a 33% discount. The woman claimed €10 was all she had on her, but she was told again that she was not going to get the perfume for €10. Eventually, and I think mostly just to get her to leave, she was told she could buy it for $12.50. So, miraculously, she managed to find another $2.50. But she didn't leave. She returned with a jumper priced at €5, and a second miracle, she found another €4. She asked if she could come back and pay the remainder later. Mind you, that's €1. I told her, of course, no. She had to pay in full up front. Her third miracle of the day, she found the €1. She could be a saint at this point. Then, displaying an amazing lack of self-awareness, she said, "Well, it's for a good cause," though apparently not good enough to pay full price for anything. With the number of holy miracles detailed in this story, I truly believe I have found religion. I have found the purpose of Jesus in my life, and it has to do with finding spare euros at convenient times when I don't want to pay the full amount for low-priced cosmetics and perfumes and clothing too, I guess, from a charity shop, because that's what Jesus cares about most. Checkmate, atheists. Today, I witnessed my first grown man tantrum. Just for context here, I work in a women's clothing store. So a few weeks ago, I had an older gentleman come into the store to do a return for his wife. Okay, no problem. We do it every day. I confirm he has the right receipt, and that's when I got down to the bottom of it. I saw that the date of purchase was beyond our 30-day return period. This means that he gets his return back on a gift card, and for what it's coming up as today if it's less than the original purchase price. So the item he was returning was bought at 20% off retail, but that same item was now listed for 40% off retail. That had a negative difference of about $9, which we couldn't refund him. I explained the situation to him, and he was not having it. He said it doesn't make sense, he has the receipt, other stores don't do this, etc. Well, yeah, other stores probably wouldn't even offer you store credit if you return something beyond their return window. This store is being generous, if anything. I mean, we've heard it all before. I once again reiterate our store policy. Obviously, he wasn't relenting, so I had the assistant manager come over. She explained the same thing I just had, and he kept arguing with her, so eventually we brought over the other store manager. She told him the same thing all three of us did. No matter how much he argued my manager wouldn't give him what he wanted. The dude eventually got fed up, took the item back, and proclaimed that they're not making any other purchases at our store in the future. He then proceeded to stomp away and slam our doors open on the way out. In a store full of women, it being a women's clothing store. Yikes. Yes, another "I'm not purchasing anything here again, you've just lost a customer," of course, says the guy who shows up with a receipt for a single item that he purchased more than a month ago that he's now trying to return for more than what the store is currently selling said item new for. Yeah, the store did lose something that day, I guess, but the collective time of the managers and that sales associate has to have been more valuable than that guy was as a customer, because he was only kind of a customer. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. Be sure to subscribe for more daily Reddit content. Drop a like if you liked the video, and I will see you all tomorrow.